Wood pallets have been used to ship goods all over the world since World War II.
The use of pallets and forklift trucks has relieved the hard-working longshoreman of much of the back-breaking labor that formerly was his lot.
Today you can find them just about anywhere. As a woodworker, it can be really tempting just to pick up some of these wood pallets and start building projects, and there's plenty of examples all over YouTube of people doing that. But have you ever wondered whether it's a good idea to build with pallets? In this video, we're going to talk about just that, and I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you may want to reconsider building anything out of pallet wood. Now, before I talk about why you may not want to build out of pallet wood, let's talk about why people do. And the two biggest reasons are cost and availability. Pallets are everywhere, and it's not hard to find them, and most of the time you can find them for free. And today, when wood prices are through the roof, it can be really tempting for any woodworker to pick up a bunch of pallets and go to town. Now, before we get too far into it, I just want to say that this video is based upon my own experiences, my own opinions and thoughts. If you have a different opinion, if you think I'm wrong, or you want to share your experience, feel free to add a comment to the video. I'd love to hear from you, hear about your experiences with pallet wood, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Now, to start with, the thing you have to understand about pallets is that they are built for one very specific function. They are built to move goods from one place to another. Sometimes it's down the road, sometimes it's across the country, sometimes it's across the world. And as I go through the reasons why you may not want to build with pallets, just keep that in mind, that's the purpose they were built for and nothing else. So the first reason why pallets may not be the best thing to build with is when wood pallets are made, attention is rarely paid to the quality of wood that's used in the pallet. They want to make sure it can at least last from point A to point B, but a lot of things are shipped only once and the pallet's only meant for one-time use. And so the wood that they're going to use in the pallets is going to be the cheapest, most readily available wood that they have. And the quality oftentimes is very low. The next reason is damage. Now, some pallets get so damaged in the process of moving things from place to place that they become unusable. And some pallets really are good for nothing else but a bonfire. Because pallets are built with whatever happens to be lying around, they're sometimes not built out of the same species of wood. And especially as pallets get damaged over time, they'll be built in one place, shipped to another. If they're damaged, they'll be fixed in one place. And the species of wood that they're going to have there, the quality of wood is going to be different. And so oftentimes you'll see pallets that have been repaired, they're going to have different species of wood. For some people that's interesting. Some people like to look at the different species of wood, and that's fine. But the problem with that is that when you build things with wood, you need to account for wood movement. And if you're using different species interact with moisture or humidity differently. If one's more dry than the other, they're going to react differently. And I've seen things that people have made out of wood that have gotten torn apart over time because of how the wood movement works. And so building things out of multiple species is not always the best thing to do, and that's what you get sometimes with a pallet. The next reason is that the usable wood on a pallet is really small. The pallet slats tend to be really thin, and a lot of times the larger pieces or thicker pieces of wood are cut in to make room for a forklift. So that reduces the amount of usable wood on a pallet, which means that building large things becomes much more difficult. Now, pallets can also be really difficult to take apart. And the reason for that is that they're built for a very specific purpose. They're meant to ship things from place to place, and the wood is not really supposed to come apart. Now, it does sometimes as it travels and gets beat up, but that's not supposed to happen. They're engineered so that they stay together. And that makes pulling them apart very difficult. They use what are called screw shank fasteners. They're essentially like nails that look like screws, and they're very, very strong and very difficult to pull apart. If you've ever tried to take apart a pallet, you know what I'm talking about. And a lot of people don't even try to remove the nails. They just try to cut off the wood around it. And again, that reduces the amount of wood that you have available to you and makes pallets less desirable. Now, another important thing to think about with pallets is that they are oftentimes stored outside. This means that they're exposed to damage from the sun, from rain, from snow, as well as insects, mold, and fungus, which are all things that are going to destroy the wood. Not only does that impact the quality of the wood, but it also means that pallet wood could contain some things like insects that you don't want to bring in your home. Wood pallets are very prone to warping and cracking. Now there's a few different reasons for that. One of them is that they are left out in the elements, but it also has to do with how they are treated when they're first made. While some pallet wood may be heat treated, and you can see that by looking at the pallet and seeing the symbol HT, they're not treated in the same way as quality lumber is treated. Now the heat treatment of pallets is mainly meant to kill insects, but it's done very quickly and at very low temperatures, usually about 130 degrees for about half an hour. And that's enough to kill insects, but it's not enough to really dry out the wood to a point where it's stable. Quality wood is usually dried for weeks sometimes, weeks in a kiln to get out all of that moisture from the wood to get it down to that level. Pallets are not treated that way. So that combined with the fact that pallets oftentimes are left out in the elements makes them very prone to warping or cracking. Now another reason why you may want to avoid using pallet wood, and perhaps the most consequential reason, is that a lot of pallet wood can be treated using methyl bromide. Methyl bromide is a chemical that is toxic to humans and is used to treat pallet wood to kill insects. And if you think about this pallet wood, a lot of times it travels all over the world, and you have invasive insect species that may hitch a ride on a pallet and go from one place to another and wipe out entire populations of insects or animals or whatever in some other country. That's happened numerous times in numerous countries with different, invasive plant species, animal species, that sort of thing.
Well, that's what happens when you introduce foreign species into an ecosystem that can't handle them.
Now here's how you can tell if a pallet you're looking at has been treated with methyl bromide. There are pallet markings, which tell you a whole lot of information about the pallets you're looking at. They're actually pretty interesting. Most pallets, you'll notice that they have this IPPC logo. It's a symbol that stands for the International Plant Protection Convention. It's essentially an international treaty that is meant to protect different countries from those invasive species. There are also other symbols on pallets. This symbol here indicates which country the pallet came from. They come from all over the world. This one came from Taiwan. This one is from Turkey. This one's from Korea. There's one from Thailand, from Vietnam. This one's from Mexico, and this one's from the US. The next set of numbers indicates which factory or production facility within that country the pallet came from. And the set of letters below indicate what's been done to the pallet. As I mentioned before, HT stands for heat treated, and MB means that it's been treated with methyl bromide. And so again, methyl bromide is not something you want to bring into your shop, kicking up dust ladled with methyl bromide, bringing things made with methyl bromide treated wood into your home. It's just something that you want to avoid. Another thing is that certain pallets, while they may be easy to get your hands on, they may even be free, they're not actually free. You may have seen some of these blue and red pallets out there. What these pallets are is they are owned by CHEP or PICO. Both of these companies have schemes where they rent pallets out to customers and they expect that those pallets be returned. And so they'll go out searching for pallets, they'll go and pick them up. You'll see a lot of these at Costco, in fact. And if you use one of these pallets, you're technically stealing. Not that they would really track you down or get you in trouble or anything like that, because it's very hard to keep track of all of them. But they do say that they're the property of someone else. They don't belong to you, and so you really should avoid them. Aside from that, they are brightly colored, and so they're easy to spot, but also you're gonna have to plane off that blue or red paint, which means that the wood underneath it is gonna be thinner, less usable, and just something you wanna avoid in general. So all that brings me to the last reason why you may want to avoid building with pallet wood. And that is really because you don't know where these pallets have been, right? Not all pallets are marked, and most pallets that don't have markings were made within the country you're in. They're usually made for domestic use and not for international use. But you don't know what was shipped on them. It could have been some chemical, it could have been some oil that was spilled and seeped into the wood. You really don't know that. You don't know what the pallets were used to ship. You don't know how they were treated. You don't know what was done with them. And so to take wood like that you don't know much about and bring it into your shop, start cutting it, creating dust, breathing in that dust potentially, bringing it into your home, not knowing what it is. It's just something really that you want to avoid. Now, in the end, if you want to use pallet wood, go ahead. I'm not here to tell you you can't. I'm not here to judge anyone for building anything out of pallet wood. All I want is to provide you with information so that you're informed. The next time you go to use pallet wood, just know what it is that you're using. Now, a few things I would avoid though. I would never use pallet wood for anything that's going to come into contact with food. So like a cutting board or a countertop, things like that. I would not build out of pallet wood, just again, because you don't know what's in it, where it's come from, how it's been treated. But if you want to, build an outdoor shed, or you want to, build something else with pallet wood, go right ahead. Don't listen to what I say. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one of the reasons people like to use pallet wood is because it is cheap and a lot of times free. And with lumber prices skyrocketing the way they are, that can be really, really tempting. But if you don't want to use pallet wood for the reasons I've mentioned or some other reason, there are some other options, and there are some things that you can do to get wood at cheaper prices. And I'm going to put out a video to explain all that. So be sure to subscribe to my channel to see that and get some ideas on how you can get your hands on some lumber without breaking the bank. Also, I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Do you agree with my reasons? Are there things that other reasons that I didn't mention that you think are important to mention around building with pallets? Do you hate everything I said? Like this guy who commented on a recent video. Or do you have an experience with pallet wood? The good, the bad, the ugly. I want to hear about all of it. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you did. I'll take time to read those and respond to those as I'm able. And again, thanks for watching my video. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.